Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. I'm hearing myself loudly in my ear.
That's your problem, man.
Yeah, well, you have to hear me a lot, not just up here. You have to hear me occasionally in the office as well. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Serling, Sunday afternoon here at Aqueduct, and it's been your nicest weather week. No rain,
yeah.
too, and warmer weather.
A Saturday without rain yesterday
I
was
know.
amazing. The sun was shining. It was beautiful. A little nippy with the wind, but otherwise, it's been a beautiful week. Yeah, spring is definitely right around the corner.
I know. It's my favorite time of the year to not get too neurotic that winter's coming.
Yeah.
It's not until like around my Memorial Day that I start to worry about the cold weather coming back, you know.
Yeah, long before we even start to sweat every single day.
When I get to Saratoga in July and I start, it's light until, almost 9 o'clock and I walk downtown, I think, ugh, by the end of the meet, I'm going to be walking downtown in the dark. I'm already
Shivering,
miserable.
yeah.
Right, exactly. Anyway, we've got 8 to talk about. We'll head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code BONUS200 and we'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Once you've head over to Naira Bets, check out the track stats. If you're signing up, if you're there, you want to look at them, check them out over at Naira Bets with Joelle and that. Do you know who Silks
I
is
can't
over
figure.
that?
Isn't it Parkland Thoroughbred? Sorry, I
Oh.
asked the guys if my mic was an issue, but apparently it is. Before we went on air, they said it was fine, but apparently it's not.
Maggie's struggling. In case anybody hasn't figured it out, Maggie's struggling with her mic to my left. I, on
need
the
a
other
handheld
hand,
one.
super coordinated that I am. I have managed to get my time, but I have a slippery tie today, so I will definitely be losing it a couple of times. Hit a win bet on the Damon Runyon or the Eastview and or 11% bonus. Opt in over that Naira Bets. And $50 bonus, 50 or more at Aqueduct, Oaklawn, and Santa Anita. $15 win or lose. And we are on from 3 to 6 today, 3 to 5 on FS2. And the last hour will be on FS1, which will start out with our 8th and final race today. Race number 1. This, and I imagine you've noticed this, and we'll talk about it as we go through them, is the early double of, you all right with that? You got that going on?
I'll just wait till
What
they
if
tell
you-
me
what if you
while
clip-
we're on air that it's a problem. So
Yeah, I was going to tell you to clip it to your necklace, but
I thought about that, and then I was
but it's slippery.
No,
No, it won't stay. It won't stay. This is the early double of 2 Phil Serpy horses that won stakes in Saratoga in 2022.
That's right.
And we'll get to Leave No Trace, but I thought I'd start out with the horse you have on top, Proudfoot, running second, as well as Linda Rice's horse, Portage, who finished third in there. And I mean, I guess the concern with Portage is he wants a little more distance. This is like a weird race they use as a prep for a race he ran so badly in, but Proudfoot seems to have the best recent form.
Well, that's the thing is, Proudfoot and Starship Defiant feel like the ones that at least are in show-up form. I will say that they show up. And look, I feel like this is a race that if I was down in the paddock and knowing these fillies like I do and mares, that I would not like the looks of Proudfoot and Starship Defiant. But on paper, I feel like they're the most reliable
I
two
agree.
in here. As Portage.
I think it's Portage, right?
It's Portage.
Because it's carrying, it's something I actually knew.
Yeah.
It's carrying, if you're canoeing and you get to a land,
It
you
is.
carry the canoe. I knew that from camp as a
It
kid.
was so funny. It was this weird confluence of things. Like, you explained that, and then I was listening to a podcast where they said it.
Really?
They used it. Yeah. So
See, it's like
I was
the only
oh.
thing, there's 2 things I know. I know what Portage is, and I can change a tire on a car.
And you know Snicky Wicket in your...
And Sticky Wicket. Well, you just ruined Phrasal for everybody that hasn't done it yet.
Oops.
Yeah, there you
Sorry
go.
for
Phrasal
Phrasal.
killer. The witch of Phrasal.
So, Portage, she was a mess last time, too, in the paddock. She was washed out. She was nervous. She didn't get Lasix. But now she gets it again. But isn't it kind of, I don't want to say a quick turnaround. It's a month plus. I don't know. She'll beat me today, and I agree with you that I think she wants more ground, because I remember Kendrick coming in that February 4th effort back to the paddock and saying, I'm sorry, girl, you just got running at the quarter pole, like you want more ground. So
No, and that's why I wasn't surprised she came back in a week. I hadn't thought of the Lasix factor, but I think that is an important one. As far as Starship Defiant, I really do believe, especially as the day wore on last Saturday, the rail was not the place to be.
I agree.
And I think Castillo made a tactical error going inside. Now, to be fair to him, he tried to go outside, and the eventual runner-up, I think, shut the door on him.
But
she's just not as good as those two mares.
Yeah, but he also was trying to get her outside, and the
Yeah.
door got shut, and there
Yeah.
was just nothing he could do.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really his fault at all.
I think she ran,
and
you know,
she's not,
she probably
right.
been closer, but I don't think she was ever going to beat those two.
Right, she might have lost by a length and a half, or
Right.
2 lengths. I
Yeah.
agree. And now she's outside of them, but, you know, we talk about this incessantly with David Jacobson. He's just very unreliable. And, you know, he had that horse yesterday, ran an 88 buyer the time before out of the blue, and ran a clunker yesterday in the race
Exactly.
that Ouster was in. So it's very hard to know, but I'm going to take her again. And the enigma is Leave No Trace. We'll go back to her spin away, where I needed Kaling, who ended up on a dead rail, to finish second to make a score.
I barely remember who that is.
Okay, I don't, you know, we were trying to talk in the office. She was an Eclipse horse, Kaling.
Yeah, she's there. She won very impressively first time out, right?
And I think she ran in the Breeders' Futurity, and she may have even run in the Breeders' Cup Fillies. I don't even know if she ever ran, frankly, as a 3-year-old. In this race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, the one where only Raging Sea is the only horse to have won out of that race, as far as I know. Who was that horse? She was absolutely one of the best 2-year-old fillies in the country. And she has stunk up the board. What I will say is she hasn't been on the dirt in a while. Now, she just may not be able to run at all anymore, but I mean, there was a time when she could devour these horses. It's hard to believe she could run anymore.
You know, I wonder if she was just a good 2-year-old. And yes,
But
I
she's
mean,
been-
she has
she's
two
been awful.
eased efforts.
She's been
Exactly.
awful. She hasn't just
It's
been
so
bad.
funny. I just looked back at my notes that I took from her when she debuted, and I said has more of a turf hoof and look. And now she's gone to the turf and
Well, Phil thought that
synthetic.
too, I guess.
So why is she coming back here? I mean,
I have a question. How late can you breed?
I would say this is it.
I'm not, I know
I
nothing, and
mean-
I could be completely off base, and I'm not trying to be rude about it, but I wonder if they're thinking, we'll give her one more chance, see if she can run the dirt, and if she can't, we'll breed her.
Yeah, I would not be.
That's the only thought. That's the only thing I could think
Yeah,
of.
okay. I'm not gonna, you know. She just come out of a live race on the turf. I know it says 8th, but
But it's a turf race where
turf
she
race.
completely stopped, and she
Exactly.
didn't really do any effective running. I love this horse. I bet her in the Breeders' Cup. I thought she ran terrific that day. I'm a big
But why
fan.
wouldn't they just stop now? Why would?
I don't know.
She's a Grade 1 winner, and this is a. I mean, Wellspring. I've seen breed horses.
I don't know what to tell you. Maybe
I'm
they're.
massively confused. If she beats me today, fine. I'll be happy for her. But she's just too much.
No,
of a
I could never bet her
enigma
either, but there's
for
a
me.
there's a part of me who would love to see her win. 'Cause I'm a
Absolutely.
fan, and
I
I'd like to see
agree.
her do well. By the way, Kaling ran poorly in the Breeders' Futurity. My friend Steve texted me and never ran again.
That's what I. Yeah.
She was an Eclipse horse.
Yeah, I remember.
And
really
she was talented.
Impressive first time out.
I thought she ran well in the
Saratoga.
spinaway.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. That was a 2-year-old filly crop that they just basically all of them
Yep.
failed to materialize going forward. Race number 2. Race number 2. So we got the same horse. Let's start talking about her. I mean, I just took her because I thought she might be the best dirt horse in this race, and I thought she could be the speed. I don't know.
The best dirt horse. I mean, it's just funny you say that because she had such more of a turf look.
But
prior
I
to
think
that
she's
last-
actually run okay in the dirt. I think her dirt races are
I
okay.
agree with you.
I thought
agree
she
with-
ran well in that race in the mud here in the New York Stallion Series as a 2-year-old. Or 3-year-old,
It's just,
excuse me.
you know, the good bank on Anna, she wins here, but we haven't seen her.
Well, we'll get to her. She's my last replay. Let's
you
show
know-
Jackson's Dixie while we're talking about it,
All
because
right.
she won.
Well, you know, Silken Dollar, she looks like speed from the rail. She was beaten by a 1-5 shot in Lady Mine, and I definitely think she ran the second best race of anybody in there. And like I said, if the good bank on Anna shows up, she's running for second, I think. But I'm banking on the fact that she doesn't, and I'll take Silken Dollar because she just feels like the best of all of
And
them.
I'm not taking Jackson's Dixie up this wet track win. She was the they knew of the month. I
Correct.
mean, she ran like horribly, and suddenly she was big favorite in her next start. I have absolutely no idea how. We'll show Bank on Anna. We'll go back to 2022. And this was that great meet that Phil's Barn had that summer when she won the Union Avenue. But you know, the thing about it is, I looked up Phil Serpy's numbers. First time for a tag on the they're all dirt, I think. He's 1 for 13. 1 for 13 in the dirt. He's 1 for 28 overall, 1 for 13 in the dirt. So when they drop, it's usually a bad sign, and I mean, they're just giving up on her. And I guess the question becomes, would somebody be interested in claiming her because she has some value as a broodmare?
I mean, it's the same owner. Like, what are they doing?
she just hasn't lifted a hoof. And I mean,
Yeah.
better horses or not, you want to see them do a little bit of running, don't
Yeah.
you? And
You
it's
would
just-
have thought they would have. I don't know. It's like
Well-
they want to lose her here.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you put her in for
Yeah.
45, they want to lose her, and they're, I guess the same thing. If they don't, maybe both of these horses get bred. I don't know. I can't answer those
Yeah.
questions, but it's very strange. And at one time, I mean, as you say, there was a time where she would just massacre this field. I mean, they would have no chance against her. Whether or not that's going to happen today, and
Wonder if Carlos has got True Empress going in the right direction again.
well.
You don't like her at all. Okay,
I'm
that's
not a
cool.
fan, but go ahead. I'm not a fan. Carlos is on a good run. I just thought she found the right field last time.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I thought
there's
she
no
was
killers in here.
I thought she was complimented because Little Lindsay came back and she was 5th in this race.
She didn't run. Little Lindsay didn't run last
No,
time, and yesterday she ran.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have the.
She had a pretty good trip last time. I thought Katie gave her a good ride. I bet her.
Yeah.
I mean, is Katie suspended?
I didn't see her written up in the crop violations.
I just haven't seen her in a right? Did she ride this week?
You're
I
right.
don't feel like she rode this week.
Maybe she did.
Yeah.
Maybe she does have days. Anyway, yeah. I just thought maybe she was kind of going back. I know her Finger Lakes form is much better than her Naira form, but I didn't mind her last effort. And thought she might be okay.
David Aragona just texted me, and he's right. I made a mistake. You have to get rid of you have to use non-maidens, get rid of maidens and stuff. With actual, with
for
first
Phil.
time for DAG non-maidens, Phil Serpy's 1 for 1 actually on the dirt. So, thank you, David. There you go. So,
Thank you,
Those are
David.
good numbers.
Yeah, okay.
So
Cool.
blame David if this horse loses that you bet on it. But no, that's actually is sort of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, like I said, I hope both these horses run well today, and I know you do too. I just, in no way can I have any confidence they will.
That's what I mean. I like both of them. And I know, I'm not on, but I know I'll probably go down the paddock and think they both look fantastic. So,
But
like I said,
sometimes when they don't really want to run anymore, they look great, and that's why
Yeah,
they
'cause
keep,
they're
you
like,
keep running them because they look
I
great.
wanna be a broodmare.
Yeah, and they just don't want to run
Yeah.
anymore. So race number 3.
Woof. Big scratch.
There we go. I told you. First
Yes, I didn't do that.
First of several.
It's on his shoe. No. Lasso you in.
Idiots up here trying to put their microphones on.
You'd think this is our first day.
Every day feels like my first day.
Groundhog Day.
Or my last day, depending on how you look at it. So Barry Funny comes out of this race, and we both got Uncle Waterflow, who I don't know. I don't really particularly love him, but Pat Reynolds' horse has been running, and he feels like the fastest, most reliable horse in here. I don't know. I was picking him anyway. I wasn't gonna pick Barry Funny.
Involved in a race last time where nobody changed positions. Best bet was 1-2 that day. Just wired the field, much the best. So how can you trust anybody else in here? I mean, there's just no other form to go on, and he feels like the horse that's in the best form.
And he also has speed, unlike
Poppy on Ice.
Poppy on Ice, who has absolutely no speed. And I
Right,
suppose
nobody
he could
else does.
win
So
at one.
it's Uncle Waterflow and Gokhan Kokakaya. Really sorry.
6,
He's
93.
supposed to go.
So it's 5 for 113. The average horse in this race is
Dude.
1 for 22.6.
That's amazing. My brain does not work like that whatsoever.
My brain barely works at all. Hey, Connect the Brooks, by that assumption, is the winner of the race
Can't
because
read, but he can do math.
he's the worst. I'm very good at phrasal. By the way, Katie is not suspended.
Okay. I didn't think she was. I didn't see anything that she was.
Why
but
aren't
she
you giving
just-
Katie mounts?
Come on.
She can ride. She's good.
I
All
agree.
right. I got nothing to say here.
Yeah, moving on.
I'm
Let's go to
sorry.
stakes.
I just don't know what
Let's
I'm
go to
saying.
1 and 2 stakes, the New York race.
Yeah, right. Heavyweight champ
Damon
came
Runyon.
out. You know what's the
Another big
most
scratch.
disappointing thing about this is we finally moved on from showing the famous December 16th
Thank
race.
Goodness. Because I almost did it the other day when I was on with Sarah, and I was like, I'll just show Brick Ambush finishing a distant second here.
Yeah,
I
you-
still didn't. Yeah.
I have not failed to miss one opportunity to show that race. But now
You're over-
we'll
you're-
show
you're done with
Mischief
it now.
Joke beating Antonio Venice. And the likely scenario here is that people say, well, it was a wet track and Dylan got loose and speed was good and, blah, 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 and all those things. And all of it may be true. But you know what? I don't care. I'm taking them again. Sometimes these horses win, and it's sort of surprising, and they get back together, and they all bet the second horse again, and the horse who won back, so I'm going to take them. So I think you'll have about 4 to 5 and even money here on 2 horses, right?
Wasn't this, though, the Mike Maker run?
Probably.
wasn't-
The Mike Maker run extended for quite a period, and then all of a sudden they
did.
started running last.
It was like a month, and I feel like this was in that month.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's one of the reasons I picked them last time.
And like this, it's much higher and faster than any other race he'd run, considering, I mean, he's a newly turned 3-year-old, and he's run 10 races already, and then
I
suddenly...
thought his December 15th race was a step in the right direction for him, though. I didn't think his races were as bad as the fig suggested,
I don't
which
know.
is why I liked him
didn't
last time.
trust him. I thought he was really with the track. I thought Dylan just gave him the perfect
You're probably
ride.
right. I'm not a huge Antonio Venice
I'm
fan,
not
to be honest
either.
with you. So that
not
was it.
either.
It's not like, well, here's the thing, Maggie, and I'm not, I mean, one of these two is going to win in all likelihood, and I'm not going to have a big fight over it because I don't think either one of us is in love with one over the other. It's not like Antonio Venice's prior figs are that fast either.
No.
It's not like he's consistently run mid to high 70s, and the other horses, his figures are very comparable as well. So maybe they both just got better, or maybe it's a wet track number that's a little bit aberrational.
Yeah.
So
Right. They both ran faster races in their first starts as 3-year-olds.
But Manny
so-
will be aggressive here. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Manny is going to go here. He's not going to let the 5 get in front of him. But that doesn't mean he's going to win, but he won't let him go.
Right, but I'm in your defense, it's not like Dylan has any other option but to be just glued to him, to his outside, and it's much more preferable to be on the outside than, battling on the inside. So I get it. Heavyweight champ scratching kind of
Change the
threw a little
complexion of this
monkey
race.
wrench
That's the
into
first
everything.
4. Maggie and I and our microphones will be back in just a few moments. We're going to hear from our good friends at Saratoga Springwater.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Springwater. Make every day exquisite.
We want to thank our friends at Saratoga Springwater for their support. Maggie Wolfendale, Andy Serling. All right, 5th race. The card actually picks up, so we were just talking about it. So on the tough beat department, and this is a special from my friend David Aragona, who pointed out to me that he had lost like 8 straight tough photos at prices, and the horse I picked beat him in every one of them. I was getting even. And this was one of them. With Majestic Frontier, and we'll take a look at his last race. But I'll say 2 things, and I think he's a major player, and I don't think you disagree. He got a very good trip and set up in this race, and even though he's been effective at 2 turns, are you as confident he's going to be as good at a 1 1/8?
no. But I think that's a big question mark for all of the top 3 players.
I'm not worried about it with Colloquy because he has done it before.
Because I am.
Really?
He was just so much the better horse when he went up in Saratoga doing it.
I agree, but he did it. Yeah. And he did it up there. I don't have a replay for him. We can get rid of the next replay. We don't need the next replay. We won't show it if you don't mind. Colloquy was in, first of all, he really did have a legitimate trip last time out.
Yes.
He got shuffled out of the race.
I mean,
And
it
those
was a
horses,
very
he
passive
has
ride
also
and-
been running against significantly better. And I don't really want to crucify him for chasing Mama's Gold when he was sort of miraculously running those races at a 1 1/8 in the slop.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, I guess it's a negative drop a little bit, but maybe he's just running where he belongs. He was playing for
we took him for
25,000.
25. He's
Right.
made us-
It's not like he's a horse that was running for 60 lately and running competitively.
Yeah.
He's running him where he can win.
Yeah, no,
He's
there's
6 to
really-
5 in the line too, so it's not like
That's
it's a
the
clever
thing,
thought of
right?
mine.
I just didn't necessarily want to take that short of a price on him, but I don't find the drop negative. I don't. I have never felt that he's better going a 2-turn 1 1/8.
I'm going to say something. I don't think there are that many horses that are, especially these days.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
these days they're much better at one-turn miles, and it's just true of the breed. I'm sorry, but there are that,
I
and
agree
that's
with
one of
you.
the things. You can find a horse that really
Yeah.
gets better, and I think I was talking a little bit with Chad Brown about going towards the Derby. And you never have any, it's rarely you have confidence, are they a mile and a quarter horse?
Yeah.
And he was saying to me how Bob Baffert has said, I don't know if they're mile and a quarter horses, you just run them, basically. But I said, as far as Sierra Leone, I don't know if he's good enough. But you do feel like he's a mile and a quarter. He's going to be fine at a mile and a quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not that means he's going to be good enough to win the race.
What's the other
But-
Tuscan Gold? That
Well, he's the Todd horse. Oh, Tuscan. No.
There's
The
Tuscan Sky, that's
Tuscan Gold.
Todd.
Tuscan Gold is running in the. Do you think he's interested in the fair in the
Well,
Louisiana Derby?
that's one horse that Chad has said. I think he's crying out for a mile and 3/16. That the longer is better. So there are those rare occasions with these horses that, and that's why they're on the Triple
But
Crown
generally,
Trail. But I
they're
agree with
slower,
you.
those horses, but they may be okay as the distance progresses because they want the
Exactly, 'cause
distances
they just
more.
Gallop and gallop
Right.
and gallop. There's no, we teach horses to have gears more so. We teach them to accelerate at certain points in races, whereas because the majority of races are those 6 furlongs to a mile, you don't really.
Right. We breed for
Train
more
and
speed. I
breed.
mean, I'll go back to one. I remember when Shug McGaughey took over the Phipps barn
Mm-hmm.
back in the 80s, a long time ago. One of the things he did was start breeding the stallions with more speed. They had been breeding to a lot more distance-oriented
Exactly.
stallions. Angel Penna was their trainer. He was debuting horses at a mile and 5/8 in the turf and winning. And Shug sort of modernized it a little bit to get more speed in there, and he was right, and that's the game that we play today.
Yeah.
Because even though the races everybody wants to win are the longer races, they're not really the races in a way that you breed for to be
Right,
successful.
it's not your everyday. It's not your bread and butter. At the end of the
Because
day.
they're all not stakes horses. Was
Exactly.
Arcangelo?
You gotta
I
be
mean,
realistic.
I don't mean in any way as a criticism. Arcangelo, he was very good, but was he also a horse that excelled at those longer distances? An Arrogate that he did well going shorter as
Mm-hmm.
well, but he may have really wanted to stay in a way where a
Yeah.
lot of horses didn't.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So Candy Tycoon,
I want to give him another shot.
so hard to trust, Maggie. But I
But
agree
he
with you.
really only has the bad effort last time in which he was totally against the track. I know
agree.
it, and it was coming off of a layoff with the massive drop down in class and the voided claim. I
Hasn't
get
he
it.
also been a vet scratch since then too,
He
besides
had
the boy
been,
claim?
I think maybe 2 times prior to making that start on February 3rd. And
Claim from
Ryan's
Jacobson.
yeah.
He could win this race for sure. I'm not.
I'm putting a little faith in Rudy here because I've just seen it, over Rudy's career that not all the time, but a lot of times when he gets these horses with the back class, he can kind of get them to find some form of semblance of their prior selves. So,
If he does that, this horse is going to win.
and I've always thought that actually the longer is better for him. So the 7 furlong races, I don't
Well,
think
as you
they're
say, he
good
was
for him.
totally against the track, and I could give him an excuse for that too.
Yeah.
I agree with you. He can absolutely win this race. I don't trust him, but he could absolutely win this race. And Colloquy is going to be a short price. And
Yeah,
Mag, for
that's
those
all I
people
saw.
that if you ever get upset that Maggie's not picking your horses, she doesn't pick her husband's horses. I mean, seriously. Just because we don't pick your horses doesn't mean that we don't like
I got
you.
mad love for Colloquy, and don't get me wrong, I'm gonna be very happy if he wins here. But I'm
No,
I am very objective.
I agree, and it's not as
Yeah.
though you're intentionally picking against them
Right.
either. So race number 6 in the Who Do You Trust category will show Colonel Vargo. I will tell you one thing about Colonel Vargo. If he runs the race he ran here, he will not win this race because he was
was with the
completely
track.
with the flow of the track, and I mean, it was a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Grant was a great ride by Trevor coming up the gold rail, and this horse did drift in the stretch, but he's been entered and scratched.
Okay,
It
so
was
he was
avoided claim.
entered scratched the one time back on
Yes.
March 10th, but he shows a workout 2 days before. Now, whether it was just like a blowout and maybe he didn't, come out of that blowout so well, but why? It's just weird.
I don't trust this horse at all. I mean, this is a horse that he may win this race, but I ain't picking him, Mag, and neither are you.
No.
And I won't be surprised if he wins. And no, I wouldn't let him beat me in any multi-race bets if I had some ideas at better prices. I'm not sure I do. And this might be a case where I see it very chalky and you have to take a stand somewhere, but you have to evaluate the situation. Look at yesterday's pick six. There was a 1, 2 to 5 shot in it, and nobody paid more than $14, and it paid $10,000 for a dollar.
Yeah.
So people that think they're going to make money by leaving out logical horses,
Right.
they'll go broke.
Right.
So striking speed, he can
As
win.
you said, this is
There are
a
4
race of
horses that on
attrition.
paper look like they can win, and we both have them 1, 2, 3, 4 in different orders.
Okay, so I basically put striking speed on top, and he was completely with the flow of the race last time. I think had a good trip.
did.
It was kind of a dead rail day, and he was wide. I just went to Carlos David. He doesn't claim that many horses on the NYRA circuit. In fact, first off the claim at NYRA,
1 for 3.
He's 1 for 3. And first off the claim, though, overall in dirt sprints, he's 10 for 35.
The
And-
298 ROI.
Right. So with that, I was like, of the horses that I don't want, I thought that stat
I agree.
made me want him.
You know what? I didn't pick him on
Most of
top,
the
but that was one of the reasons I considered putting him on top, to be honest with you. I know I'm 4th, but I could have had him higher, and I saw the same things you did. First Deputy, we'll take a look at his last race. He is the ultimate last time was the time. He got a quick pace that fell apart. He got a great trip.
But he
I
did
don't
run
want to say
well.
he can't win this race.
He did run very well for Wayne Potts here. Is he going to do it again? That's the thing. Is he going to get any kind of pace to run at here?
How reliable are Wayne's horses from race to race? I will say that Wayne's, but he just claimed this horse, and I will say he had a big win.
Trainer change.
That horse improved
Oh, yeah,
dramatically
the other
here a couple of days ago to win. So
great
maybe
horse.
he's on a good run again. And he is as streaky as any trainer, and we've seen him
Yeah.
go on good runs.
And it does feel like
they
a lot
run.
of times each year at this time of the year is when his horses run.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be surprised if he runs back to it. But on the other hand, do you want to bet him at a much shorter price today when he was 5 to 1 last time? Now David has him a similar
92,
price,
yeah.
and I just went to FF Rocket, who goes back to Lolita Shimongo, who's done well in the past. I've always kind of had a thing for this horse. I thought he'd be the biggest price of all the 4 contenders, so I put him on top, and he's got races to give him a chance. And I think Lolita does well, and this horse ran better for Lolita than she did for Robbie.
He was against the track last time, I
Yes,
thought a bit.
as well. Yes,
yeah.
he was also wide against a good rail.
But
Thank you.
yeah, I definitely think it's a positive for her and Nat Crone to go back in. Right. Like you said,
He's a little
we have
of
the
an
same
in-and-outer.
4 horses.
Yeah. I went for the biggest price on
Don't
them. It's
feel
not
strongly about any of them.
Yeah, I might make a play and just try to beat Colonel Fargo here and use the others. Race number 7. We were talking about this, you and I, beforehand. Now, when I'm going to go back with Caldwell Loves Gold and show you the 6 furlong Seek in the Ante at Saratoga because we like showing Saratoga races, and it's the 3rd one we've shown today. We'll be there in less than 3 months, 2.5 months. Is it possible that she's better going shorter?
She's a closing sprinter?
Yeah.
Sure. And plus, she just had the most ridiculous trips of last
Well,
time.
her last race is a joke,
It's just
right?
joke squads. I agree with you.
Her maiden
and now
miss
she's
was
back
not
on
good,
the-
though.
I know.
It really wasn't good.
It really wasn't good. She is back on a Harrowed fast track. I don't know if that is any
No, that's fair.
influence on how she performs today. Was she just better early on? But I like the fact they gave her a break. Like, let's regroup. Let's get her, fresh. I really liked her as a 2-year-old.
So did I.
I'm hoping that she goes on here. But I just couldn't ignore the horse that we both have on top, Bernie Takes Charge. And I think that she's one that...
We'll show her a race 2 back.
Right. Now, this is 2 back, but even before that with the win, it was when she was turning back. So I kind of like her doing this, whereas last time My Main Squeeze and Landed just kind of ran 1-2 around the racetrack. My Main Squeeze was a big favorite. This was a great performance by her.
And you and I were talking off camera about her last race because it's not on Trevor. If anybody thinks Trevor took her back,
No,
they
he
didn't
did
watch
not.
the race because he was riding her to get in the race, and you suggested that maybe she had an adverse reaction to kickback.
Well, it was when we had, there was snow
Super
on the
heavy
ground
track.
and it was so heavy. And I find that when it's heavy like that and it's cold and the ground, the dirt just kind of clumps together more, and it's so much more. And I do know this from galloping in the morning.
Well,
When
there's
you
evidence
get
of it as well.
hit with that dirt, it's not like the summer dirt that just just kind of sprays you.
Well, the evidence of it
Feels
is
like rocks hitting
the
you.
evidence is not just the slow times. but also the massive gaps.
Right.
You see races where the first horse wins and it's 20 lengths back to the third or fourth horse. And that's what you're talking about. They become races where horses just aren't showing up at all. And they're horses that in the past have been much more competitive. And that's the evidence of what you're talking
And I
about.
had to go back and kind of watch this replay a couple times because I'm like,
Me too.
where did she end up? Suddenly, she's close, and then she's last.
And he's riding her the whole time.
And he's riding her, and you could see when they kind of started to do this and get more linear in the running of the race down the backside, her head went up, and she's like, no. And Trevor poignantly gets her outside. I mean, when do you want to go that wide around the turn? He gets her out on the turn, and that's when you see her run on again. I know she was well beaten at that point, but at least she runs on again.
At least she showed up again. No,
recovers.
I agree. At least
She
she showed
shows
that she
up.
could run a little bit, right? You do
I
wonder
like her.
if she had could she have run closer to the 85 and 80 or something
Exactly.
if she had been.
Yeah.
And my main squeeze, Windstar bought into her. Did you
Oh,
see that?
really? I didn't
Yeah,
see
I read that the other day that they bought. Unless I was reading it, I was dreaming or something. I think they bought into her, Windstar. And I know that Buff Bradley was saying how he wanted to point to the Black-Eyed Susan. Was it you? You interviewed him, right? No.
Who? What? No.
Richie did.
Okay.
That he wanted. He's always wanted to be in the Black-Eyed Susan because we were saying
Who said that?
the owner.
Oh, Buck.
Yeah, Buck
Yeah.
Bradley was saying it. And he.
Butler.
It's Buck Butler. Right, I'm thinking of Buff Bradley. Buck Butler, right, correct.
Buff Bradley, I see
He
him at
was
Oklahoma.
being interviewed by Richie afterwards because I was saying she's running figures, she should run the Gazelle, and considering what's out there in the 3-year-old fillies, why would
And
they
he
be
said
thinking?
the
He said they've
Black-Eyed
always wanted to
Susan?
run the Black Susan. I don't know if it
love
had anything
that.
to do with you being Miss Preakness, but there could be a story there, so maybe you should talk to him. I want to quickly touch on something that you talked about because this is something that I agree with. You mentioned the sealed track for the fast race, 2 back for Caldwell Loves Gold. My opinion is that more horses don't love sealed tracks than they're necessarily hindered by wet tracks. I don't think that moisture bothers horses. I think there's some horses that just don't run as well in sealed tracks. Do you agree,
I think
disagree? You think it's random?
There is a difference between, obviously, and then so you're going to have some horses where however they're put together mechanically, legs, feet, blah blah blah, that sealed hard surface is going to sting them, and they're not going to run as well. Whereas, you find some horses when it's a wet track that's looser. Those horses will be fine, and then you'll find the other horses that might struggle behind, and that track is just slipping away from them, and it's tiring.
And kickback too, I think
and
bothers them
kickback,
more in a wet
exactly.
track as well.
Right. So
and that's
yes,
why horses
there's
that are forward.
different-
A lot
right.
of times, which a lot of times why wet tracks sometimes will end up being speed tracks, especially when the rain is continuing.
Oh, sure.
Because those horses are not
Yeah.
having to fight through it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Race number 8. Okay, here's my theory on race number 8.
Where'd you
And
go? Okay.
I went, I was talking with David about this horse because he likes her too. I didn't like her when she was in last time. Here is my feeling on this race.
Go for
I
it.
don't want anybody from the February
I look
19th
like everyone.
race. No, you didn't. You
No,
actually took a horse not in that race. You took a
No,
horse
I
from a
do.
different
I
race.
have a little interest in Dick
We'll take a look
Telegrapher.
at Zen Lou and Necessary and Proper. I'm going to tell you, if these horses could not pick up Snarky in here, then I don't want any part of them. Snarky was done
agree
top of
with
the
you.
stretch. I don't want any of them.
No, I hear what you're saying for sure. Yeah, I looked at Jen's Kiss. I don't know. It was a better race. I get that. I wish she did a little bit more running. She just was never in it.
Who? Jen's
Jen's
Kiss?
Kiss.
Well, she was wide against a gold rail against a better field. I'm not. I don't know. Well, let's talk about the 7 horse that won yesterday, because that's what won me over when David pointed this out. That horse that won the race where the favorite didn't show up. Who was the 6 horse? To a T.
Okay.
The horse that won the race had wired a field the time before that and had been 5 wide chasing against the gold rail
Okay.
on January 18th. And
Okay.
and David made that tweet, and it just sort of rings true to me. That's like horses that were chasing wide on that January 18th track. It didn't matter what they got beaten. They just had no chance. Now,
Gotcha.
there is a distinct possibility, by the way, this horse cannot run a step.
I-
I'm not in any way suggesting this. I don't like
She's
this horse.
She's good. She should be a price. So why
And,
not?
and who am I afraid of in this race?
Nobody.
I mean, you've taken dactylographer. I mean,
Dactylographa.
what is it?
Dactylographa is
What is
how I have no idea. It's just how Chris says it.
You don't know? Should we look up
I'm
what it
leaning
is?
on
We're gonna look it up.
Chris on this one.
Well, Chris is probably right. I'm sure he's right, but I'm just wondering what it is. What does
Go
it mean?
for it.
Do we
Let
know
me
if it has
know.
a mean? If it's
Chime in.
Should I be looking on the Urban Dictionary?
Oh God, don't.
Hints to the people who look at names in the Jockey Club. Start using the Urban Dictionary.
Dactylographa. Oh God, it could be something really bad. I don't keep saying her name.
It's a Spanish to English translation. It says.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, it
Talk
sounds
about.
Okay, so she's turned back. Like the turn back for her. She comes out of a race in which Awesome Glow returned to win with a 48. So relative terms, that's a step up here. And she's one that I've liked in the warm-up. She's moved well. And I just thought turning back here at this level, I think she's faced some better horses, arguably, in her prior races. And I don't know. I was just, and two.
She's not from that race.
Eliseo Ruiz, I've liked what I've seen from him. You do get a journeyman now. I don't know. There just wasn't much to go on in here.
No, I'm not going to argue with any horse anybody likes not out of the race from
You
from
put Stony
February.
Lonesome in, and I
thank
thought
you.
about it
Thank you.
but then I didn't because I didn't want you to make fun of me because apparently I pick all
She's
of Rachel
burying
Sells'
her friend
horses.
Toby, who's been working with the Rachel Sells horses. You know who Night Trail, your horses have to.
Massey the Magician.
Yeah, a couple others didn't do much running, but
No,
begin
but
and end the
Stony
day with
Lonesome-
Phil and Wellspring.
Stony Lonesome does have the win early pedigree, being by Bustin' Stones. The
why I
dam
used him.
won first time out. I vaguely remember the second dam. I'm sure you do, Crazy Cat Lady. She was okay on the turf. I looked
she's
her
on-
up. She was a
okay.
Tim
Yeah,
Hills
I
horse.
remember her vaguely. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. I remember.
So it's not a
What about Lady
horrible
Lawrence, who caught a muddy seal track last time, and the race before that ran a figure of 32, which makes her competitive here, the one.
Yeah.
No love for her. I was going to throw her in. I'm going to use 8s and 1s and some firsters.
Good luck.
I mean, that's what I'm
Race
doing.
to
I'm
get
using.
through.
I'll
No,
throw
I'm
your
just saying
2 in.
to
I'll throw your 2
everyone.
in on your say so.
I
I got
don't
no
feel
problem. But
overly
the thing I like about your 2 is she's not from that race. If somebody
Yeah.
wins this race out of the February 19th race, I won't have them.
I'm
Period.
with you. Yeah.
All right, we're done. Got enough of us? Well, if you haven't, we'll be back on at 3 o'clock. Head over to Naira Bets. If you haven't, there's probably something wrong with you as well. Go over to Naira Bets and use the promo code bonus 200, and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. NairaBets.com. Once you're there, check out the track stats as well. Over at NairaBets.com as well. We've got an 11% bonus, win bonus, Damon Runyon and or the Eastview. Both of them opt in. Win bet. And we've also got a $15 bonus on Aqueduct, Oaklawn, and Santa Anita. You'll bet 50 or more on each track. If you opt in, you get $15 win or lose. And we are on a two-parter today. Oh,
What?
is there no cross country? Isn't there a cross country Big Five today?
Not FS1.
There's got to be there's a cross country Big Five today. We don't have a slate for it.
Oh, geez.
If you'd like to, well, I'm coasting, so you can't come on, but you'll be on. You'll be on for 1 minute.
Great.
Hopefully we'll have a
You got
post
that
rate.
switch?
We
You
need
got
a.
that switch under control?
I'm working on it. But tell Bobby when we'll be on the call in a few minutes. You got to come on and do a post race. We should make you stick around. You can talk about the Louisiana Derby or
I
something.
can do a post race for that lovely last race we have.
We'll pick the winner. You should. That's for sure. You should probably do a post race and get like a medal or something. Anyway, we're done. Chris Griffin is just getting warmed up. He'll be up with a reprise scratches and changes in just a few moments. Have a great day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.